There is an old house in a small Croatian village, surrounded by forest. It was built in 1898. For years, almost no one lived in it. A few months ago, it became ours. And we decided to bring it back to life. Only, there is one small problem. We live in Ireland, 2,000 kilometers away. So we are starting here, before the renovation, before the beautiful rooms, before this place becomes what we believe it can be. This is either the best idea we ever had or a very expensive mistake. And this is where the story starts. Hi, I'm Jure. I'm from Croatia, but I lived back in 2013. Since then, I have lived in Austria, Germany, and now Ireland. That's where I met Tiago. He's from Brazil. We have been together for years. And now, after all that moving around, we have somehow ended up with an old house in Croatian forest. The house is in Gorski Kotar, part of Croatia full of mountains, forests, lakes, and quiet roads. Most people know Croatia for the coast, the sea, the islands, the summer, but this is a different Croatia. Colder, greener, slower. But this place feels different, and somehow feels like a Croatia I'm always looking for. And Tiago grew up in Malnar House, in the Amazon, so forest is nothing new to him. But he says this forest feels completely different. Not wild and hot in the same way, not endless. This one feels still, almost hidden. That feeling became the beginning of the whole idea. We don't want to turn this house into just another holiday stay. And we don't want to renovate away everything that makes it old. We want to create a small boutique heritage residence, a place where people can stay, slow down, and feel the character of old Croatian house without giving up the comfort of modern life. We have spent months working on the concept together, the atmosphere, the rooms, the details, the kind of experience this place should offer. We will show you the full vision in future episodes. But before we could dream too far ahead, we had to face the decision we already made. What did we actually buy? The first time we walked through these rooms as the owners, we didn't say much. We just walked. Because when a house is this old, you don't understand it in one moment. You have to move through it slowly, room by room, floor by floor, problem by problem. And here is the honest version. When people hear a house from 1898, they usually picture one of two things: a beautiful old museum frozen in time, or a ruin. This house is neither. The good news is that the bones are solid. The floors feel strong, the structure is good, and that matters because there is a big difference between a house worth saving and a house that simply eats your money. Still, solid bones don't mean an easy project. The house has been waiting for someone for a long time, and once you step inside, it shows. There is one tap with running water in the whole house, literally one. There is no proper bathroom, no drainage. Half of the house has no power. Some windows are broken. Parts of the facade are damaged. And when it rains, the roof leaks. But only in one corner. Very polite. So no, it is not ready for guests. It is not ready even for us. Of course, No all house project comes without surprises, and we found one very early. The house has protected character. That means we are not just renovating a building, we are working with its history. So a window is not just a window, a facade is not just a facade, a staircase is not just a staircase. Every decision has to respect what the house was, while making it ready for what it needs to become. That's the challenge, and honestly, that is also the reason we wanted it even more. But to understand why this house matters to us, you have to start downstairs, because in 1898, this wasn't just a family home, it was a shop. And in a village like this, more than 100 years ago, a shop was not just a place where you bought things, it was where people meet, where news traveled, where village life passed through the front door. At one point, this house was even important enough to appear on an old postcard of the village. So when we look at those empty rooms now, we are not just looking at the square meters, we are looking at the place that used to be full of life. And that's the strange part. We found this house almost completely empty. A few chairs, an old chest, not much else. Most of the original life of the house was already gone before we arrived. We don't know exactly what was lost, but we know what is still here. The old doors, the staircase, and the surviving window details, and even the traces hidden under layers of paint, old wallpaper, old decoration, small signs of the house that used to be here. They are not just old materials, they are clues, the few physical links we still have to the original house. And we will renew all of this carefully, so the house still feels like the house that stood here 128 years ago. Not because we want to freeze it in time, not only because it has protected character, but because this is what we fell in love with. The windows, the facade, the staircase, the feeling of the place. We don't want to erase it. We want to bring it back. Inside, true, the house has to bring a new life. Warm, comfortable, private. Not a museum, not a fake old house. Something alive again. Above the old shop, the house keeps going, floor after floor. Empty rooms, old walls, and an attic that still has to find its purpose. This is where dreams becomes easier to see. Downstairs, you feel the history. Up here, you start to see the future. The rooms are empty now, cold, rough, not especially romantic when you are standing there with a jacket on, wondering where the heating will go. And right now, this house doesn't even have a proper bathroom. This is not the kind of renovation where you clean the rooms, paint the walls, and open the doors. Everything has to be created. Every bathroom, every comfortable corner, every detail that makes the difference between an old house and the place where someone actually wants to stay. The vision is to create a small number of private rooms and suites, spaces that feel calm, warm, and personal. Rooms where the moment you close the door behind you, everything gets quieter. Your body slows down, you make a coffee, sit by the window, read a few pages, or simply disappear for a few days. That's the kind of comfort we are interested in. Not just a bed for the night, a place that feels considerate. Private when you want privacy, helpful when you want service, and familiar enough that after a while, it almost feels like a home. And the surprising thing is, the house sits right in the middle of the village. From the front, you know exactly where you are. There are houses nearby, a road, normal village life. But behind the house, everything changes. There are tall cliffs behind the garden, and they make the whole back of the property feel hidden, private, almost secret. This is one of the things we loved straight away. You are not isolated in the middle of nowhere. You are in the heart of the village. But back here, it feels like the world has stepped away for a moment. Then we step back inside, and suddenly, we are not just looking at an old house anymore. We stand in these cold, empty rooms and point at places that don't exist yet. The bed goes there. The light should fall here. Someone could sit by that window and read. It probably looks crazy, but that's the job now. To see the place before it exists, and then keep going until it does. People think the hardest part is the work, the renovation, the decisions, the things that go wrong. And yes, all of that is coming. But right now, the hardest part is waiting, because we will move tomorrow if we could. We can already see the life there, the mornings, the forest, the rooms full of light, the door opening for the first guest. And the house isn't ready for that life yet. Not even close. The house needs time, and we have to respect that. Every step gets us closer, not just to finishing our renovation, to creating a place that feels like home. For us, yes, and one day for the people who will stay there too. That's really what you are watching. Two guys trying to bring life back to a century-old house. We will document the whole process honestly. The house, the history, the distance, the decisions, and everything we learn along the way. But this is only the beginning. Next time, we will show you how this whole thing started. A listing that vanished, a buyer who disappeared, a trip to Gorski Kotar, and one decision that probably changed the next 10 years of our lives. So if you want to follow this from day one, subscribe and come with us. We are just getting started.